Evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Maze, it's a nice day to join us today this evening katika this show, your number one spot. This is the Youth Nation show. Kama kawaida tunasababisha tukiwa hapa PrayerCaveTV. Remember, this is not your number one TV station. This is your only TV station. And today tumeandaa vitu moto, vitu murua. We have a lot going on in the society. And kama kawaida, kama dawa, kama kawa, tunataka kuongelelea a lot about conflict resolution. So ladies and gentlemen, today, not in studio, outdoors, we are joined by our very own guest. Nitaacha aji introduce and yeah, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Esther Muthoni. I am a psychologist by profession. I was a student of psychology. I'm yet to graduate. Apart from that, I'm a peer counselor. I am a born-again Christian nimeokoka. Yeah, that is the baseline. Yeah, and I'm a child of God and I'm a people's person. I love talking, I love eating, I love everything. Napenda tu to have fun.
Definitely. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
This is not the first time we're having her on the show. I think for our fans, this is like your second time on the show.
Yeah, and thank you for having me.
Yeah.
In a very beautiful, serene environment. I love
mean,
it.
Today,
I love
it. And the topic today, Maze.
Yeah.
The reason tumeileta kwa this environment is because we want to have a cool, calm mind. That's why we are in this serene environment.
Okay.
And we want to talk a little bit about conflict management, conflict resolution. There's so much happening saizi. My youth man, Maze, complaints here and there. Wengine wanalia bills huko, wengine wanalia sijui nini.
Hiyo ni ya kila mtu.
Everyone is facing it, from the old to the young. And according to you, unaweza describe aje what is conflict?
Okay.
Yeah.
So conflict is, from what we understand, it is the disagreement that people have. Yeah. So of course it occurs because of many reasons.
Yeah.
Because you are different from me, right?
Definitely.
Your temperament and my temperament is not the same. Your values and your beliefs are different from mine. Sindio?
Yeah. Personalities are different, watu ni tofauti. So kama kawaida tunaweza expect kukwe na hiyo mbishano kuvurutana.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line kusema ati hii ni conflict ama this is just a normal conversation? Because there's a guy alikuwa ananiambia akona an issue akisikia a certain tribalistic people wakiongea.
Okay.
Seme they can be happy but venye wanaongea it sounds nika ni vita. They are like hey. And at that time the guys are happy. So ni wapi penye unaweza sema you're drawing the line that this is a conflict ama this is just a normal conversation happening?
Okay. You see, for a normal conversation will be what we are talking. Me and you right now. There's nothing that he's saying at maybe our communication is changing. Maybe there is a heightened tone. Maybe there is a reserved communication. You know, some people, when you want to know there is a conflict, of course there is going to be behavior change, right? But for a normal conversation, that won't be present, sindio? But now for a conflict, of course, kuna vile watu wataongeleshana, kuna vile watu watabehave, right? And vile umesema, a conflict can be interpersonal, like it is intrapersonal, ni ndani yako. You know, sometimes whatever you want and whatever may be what is expected of you is different, right? So we say in psychology you have three parts. There's the id, there's the ego, and there's the super ego. So for the id is that part that wants things, nataka na ninataka sasa, kama sio sasa, sasa hivi.
The id.
Yeah, the id.
Spelling?
ID. Yes. So the id is so much present in a child. You see, for a child, that child wants milk. That child is crying. Mtoto ukimwambia ati mama ayuko ajui. What do you mean mama ayuko ajui? You know. And then there is the ego. And then there's the super ego. So the super ego is the one that is so principled. Ninapenda God amesema nisisin, nini, my parents expect me to do this and this and this. It is the morality one, And then there is the ego which tries to balance the two of them, the id and the super ego. So sometimes you're hungry and you're thinking, I don't have money. Can I go and steal? That is the id speaking. And then the super ego will be like, No, if you go and steal, utaenda jela, utashikwa, we ni mtu wa kanisa umeokoka unaiba aje, you know. So there must be a balance being stricken between the two. So the conflict can exist even you alone. So for example, venye tumesema a tribal thing, the id is like, no, I'm not supposed to interact with you, you are like this, mi najua nyi mnakuwaga hivi. And then you go to the super ego is like, okay, God says we love everyone despite of this and this and that. And then the ego tries to strike a balance. Okay, I feel this and this and this, but I'm still going to communicate to this person. Is that okay?
Super ego has to come from a place outside. Like, lazima ikuwe na that spiritual influence maybe.
You know, spirituality gives us a standard for our morals. Spirituality says do not steal, do not kill, do not covet and everything else. Sometimes even it is in our culture. Like for Akikuyu culture, there is a certain way we have to deal with people. You have to be warm, you have to be caring, like that. So it is from the way we are socialized. Depending on your culture, depending on your spirituality, people get these things where they are morally upright or not.
Now, Apo may mention super ego, the id. That's new. I've actually learned something today. So where do we draw the line, kusema? Okay, first of all, how can we identify that conflict is coming up? Like in an early stage, because hatutaki pia vitu grow kama hatuelewi what is going on. Conversation inaweza kuwa imeanza normal, but you don't know penye sasa itenda, it cross the line, it ends up being a conflict, and sometimes it go all the way further, could cause deaths, nini. So how can you identify that a conflict imeanza in an early stage?
Okay, so first of all, it's good to be observant, number one. You must observe the behavior of a person. Mtu venye alikuwa mezoea ku-behave, ama the normal behavior of this person usually changes. Maybe it could be the way a person is social, and that person, juu anafeel umemkosea, anaanza kuji-seclude. That person may not be open to talking to you because we have different types of personalities in regards to how they react to a conflict. And then there are people who are just going to face you head on. Ron umenikosea hivi by the way na sijafurahia. That one itself, you don't need an angel to tell you mtu umemkosea, there is a conflict there. And then there is also how a person communicates. There's the body language. You know, there are some people who are like this. Utakifanya hivi so unajua hii ni vita bana.
The conductors kwa barabara.
And then some people talk when they are pointing fingers. And then there is the choice of words. Kuna tu maneno yenye mtu anatumianga yenye unajua hapa all is not well. And then there is also some cliques that usually for maybe you're in a group, you're in the workplace, for example, you guys here, and then watu wengine wako ile kona, wengine wako hii kona ingine. So those two divisions, like what is happening in our country right now. Some people are for the finance bill, others are not. And those who are not for it, you can see even through the words that they are using. You can see the frustrations.
Especially online.
Bana wale in-laws, wamekasirika bwana.
Watu wanataka kuleta vita, it's trying to go overboard.
But that alone can show you this is not okay. And then of course even the daily work that you people are doing, if you had set to do this kind of work, and because of that conflict, of course you're not going to achieve the goal, right? So in comparison to before, these four are being able to do this and that, A to Z, but now even for a simple task there is no cooperation. So you find, of course, that is something that is brewing. And before it gets to that point where everything has broken down and everything else,
but there are people who cannot handle having, you see, that face-to-face conversation. Unaona kama sio wenye wanasemanga Buddha mi umenibo. Okay, such personalities, by the way, I think they have it fun in life because they can be direct. Wanaweza ongea kenye wanataka kusema. And unajua, for some people, identifying the conflict, maybe hawajakana the person sana kujua maybe ujamaa amejam. Kuna wase their nature, maybe growing up it was vita, maybe it's like war. Sasa time msea amemwambia we Buddha mi umenisinya na nitakukanyaga, yanaona nikani jokes, then inafika that level, imeenda overboard, vita imeanza nini. So for a person, do you have to really identify a personality ndio ujue even though umse behave, ama maybe you've just met someone how they handle their conflict? Like, do you really have to know their personalities for you to know how to handle the conflict?
I think it could be a plus when you identify somebody's personality, so that it will be easier for you to identify ama kujua huyu naweza fika hapa until here I cannot. But at the same time, God gave us a beautiful gift of thinking. Utumie tu akili yako. Enyewe hatuwezi ongea hivi tunacheka and then the next minute I'm sad, I'm not talking to you and you think things are okay. So even without the personality thing, you can also observe. You listen to that person actively. Active listening zikuje. Unaangalia huyo mtu unamsikiza. You know somebody who wants to listen to you, anakuangalia, very attentive, very keen. Sasa lakini mtu amekaa hivi anaangalia kwingine na anakuongelesha. So you know that person is not interested. Right. So even without knowing the personalities, you can even check for the body language.
So you've understood the personalities. Umeona ndio conflict imeanza ku rise. How do you handle, like, for communication? How do you handle the conflict with communication? Ni techniques gani, like, generally that you can use to just have that conversation so that the goal, you can reach the goal or whatever the issue is inaweza shuka?
Okay, so you know, it depends with the type of conflict. There's sometimes when you have a conflict and emotions ziko very hot, very intense. But ukianza ile maneno watu watapigana hapo. So sometimes it's good even to read the atmosphere. Is it a right time for me to approach this thing head on? As you are saying, some people are like that. Mtu tu akwambia bedhe hapo umenikosea. So it's good you read the atmosphere first. If it is very intense, just avoid it. So avoidance can be one of the strategy you use. And it especially works when maybe hauna full information. Sasa unakuja kuni-accuse kitu,
you don't have proof.
Hauna evidence nini, so you need to go and further investigate. Or you feel like the atmosphere is so intense, tuneza pigana, we can do other things, which is not good. So it's good when you choose to avoid. But it's for a time. Again, the disadvantage of now avoiding is that, of course, na feel umenikosea roho, hatuwezi kaa hapa chini tuongee.
Hatuwezi elewana.
Hatuwezi. So for a work that was to be done, it won't be done just because there is a conflict between us. So it can just work like for a short while. And then, of course, you can try to accommodate that person. Not only your point of view, try hata kuona hii point ya mtu mwingine. You know, for us, mimi niko right.
Yangu bana, umeniumiza bana.
But you know, the part that usually exists in conflict is that the same share you had in this conflict, I might have a share also. It's not always about you ama about me. Ati mimi nimekukosea. Even you had a part to contribute to this conflict. So you also try to accommodate that person and then you compromise. Bana sio kila wakati ati story yako ndio valid. Saa nyingine inaweza kuwa valid lakini compromise bana. Najua inauma lakini hapo
compromise. People who are dating compromise at some point. Kuna msana feel maybe this is too much. Amezoea nini. Maybe in terms of conversation kuna venye na kuongelesha, you're not used to it. Emotions zina rise. Okay, I want to ask you something about the emotional regulation. Like, vita imeanza, maybe there's that tushafika ile point yenye sasa kumewaka. There's a place in the Bible inasema, if you want to that creating peace, first of all, go talk to the person. Don't go to bed when you're angry. And then kuna ile place penye ka vitu zime go overboard, you can now bring in the third party for the conversation. But sasa emotions zime rise, you are all over the place. How can you regulate that? Sema you're now dealing this, ni nyinyi wawili tu.
Okay, I do think emotions have a very big part to play in our conflicts. So of course wakati kuna hizo emotions, and I've said it before, when there are those emotions, sio eti mkikosa kusolve hii problem, hii conflict, ati you guys will die. It can even, you can even just separate yourself for quite some time. You have time to think about it, because when you approach it there, kunaweza kuwa na ile story ya emotional hijack. I don't know if I talked about it last time.
Emotional hijack.
So like our emotions, for something to happen, of course there is the part of thinking and there is the part now of the emotions to come out, yeah. So kuna part tu kwa our brain inaitwa amygdala, hiyo ndo inafanyanga emotions zikuwe registered. Now you are angry, yeah, but that goes first of all to the thinking brain, unafikiria okay, mtu ameniambia aje, yeah, and then now it goes now to the amygdala to be registered. This is an angry emotion, okay, so I can do this, yeah. But sometimes when you're angry, it goes straight to the amygdala, and then after ume realize, nilifanya nini bana? Mtu nimemkata masikio kama Peter venye alifanya. That was an emotional hijack. Like you just react through an impulse. Yeah. In a snapshot of a minute umefanya kitu hata hujawahi fikiria kufanya. Yeah? So and then you come back to your senses, you're like, what have I done?
The brain goes off time, emotions rise.
No, like, now it is that hijack that happens. Instead of now the normal cycle, that stimulus goes and then unafikiria and then now goes to the amygdala. It goes the other way. You first of all goes to the amygdala and then now after quite some time unafikiria. So I've done this.
So that
explains
so
foolish
the deaths.
of me.
Okay. Semeka wase when you argue, maybe couple, nini.
Alafu unapata mtu ameua mtu. Alafu anasema mimi hata sijai uanzi. I'm as innocent as that. What happened? Yeah? It is that hijack. Yeah? So in emotions, it is very important to learn how to regulate, and that depends with you. Yeah. If you are the person who like first of all, try even to listen to that person. Yeah. Listen, skiza huyo mtu.
Get the side of the
even
story. When
you're listening, don't let that noise inside you interfere with that communication. Because sometimes you're talking to me, Ron, and then I'm thinking, una vile umekaa hapo, wewe nilijua tu unataka kunifanyia mabaya. You know, what is that preventing me from listening to you? And you are trying to explain, okay, I did this and this and that because of this and this and that. But in my mind, my head is not there. Vile tu ushasema ati ulinibia simu. Akili yangu sasa imeshaenda, okay, alinibia simu kwa sababu ya hii na hii. That is noise. Yeah? So, it is important to first of all listen to that person actively. Yeah. And then take a break. Even tembea hata huko uone miti, uone hata milima. Yeah. Separate yourself from that environment. Take a deep breath. You can even count 1 to 10, 1 to 50. By the time unarudi, uko like, I'm calm.
Now you are relaxed.
You're even ready to listen to that person. Yeah. And don't think the world is about you, Ron.
It revolves around you.
No, it does not revolve around. Otherwise, God angekumba na kuweke hapa peke yako. Si ndio?
There's a place you may mention about the emotion.
Yeah.
Ni possible emotion kukua way too much for somebody to more than somebody can handle, causing this like the wars coming up ama end up kufanya like something too extreme. Like it has never happened before. Hajawahi you were before. But emotion rise way too much. Umesema it registers something in the amygdala. I got the name right. Does it have to be registered before ama it can maybe for somebody haijawahi at that level, then that hijack happen, then emotions go all the way up and end up cause up this war. Like, does it have it has happened before? Does it have to have happened before?
Not really. It can happen either way, before or ama haijawahi happen totally. You see what happens when you're in a conflict with someone, when that tension, you see some people even start shaking, trembling. Yeah. Mtu amekasirika walai anakaa, you know those bulls.
Yeah. Sasa shanza kuungua.
Macho tu inakaa red
already bana.
Yeah. So what happens is that your brain inaanza kuona this now is a danger. Yeah. And you know when it starts registering that, there are two results that come out. First of all, the brain sees I can fight or I can flight. There's a potea ama ni face. You know. So sometimes you can see somebody mlikuwa tu mnaongea hivi amechukua hii glass amekutupia. Na uni kwenye amekutupia. Neza kwa hadi in your sensitive parts like macho and everything else. Yeah. So emotions na ndio hiyo wakati tunasema when you have such a thing, please try and separate yourself, enda hata kando, urelax. Ondokea hata huyo mtu, go and even punch something and it's not a person because you'll end up doing a lot of because even it is those emotions. Unaona hizo emotions zimekuwa not emotions, hormones zimekuwa produced. And so the body is very active. I'm telling you, huyo ni mtu ataweza chukua mawe kama Daudi pale, wacha ya Daudi. Straight direct, you know. So it is important when you are in that atmosphere and your emotions are so much heightened, please get away from such an environment. Flee. Flee, potea tu juu huyu mtu walai ukimshika you'll do something bad and it is also regrettable. And it is just in that
in a snap.
Maybe huyu mtu hata ungejaribu kumaddress another time, hakuna kitu kama hiyo inge happen. And I've had a lot of stories of people who have done that. And it haija turn out vizuri.
That's nice. You've done such a good work explaining that brain experience and the emotional experience. Kugundua how the emotions influence the brain. Sasa, okay, we can agree that it's usually conflict inakujanga with that person to person. I don't know kama kuna an experience ya conflict ya a person na experience. Okay, like a person with an experience. Maybe it's not a person causing the conflict. Maybe it's a situation just happening. Like, does it exist?
Yes, I talked about conflict within yourself. And that is where I brought about the aspect of the id, the ego, and the superego. But we first of all have to understand that conflict must exist where there are people. Of course, tunasema it is the disagreement between people, among people, and it can also be in you, within yourself. Maybe sometimes it even comes because of the roles. So you find right now I'm just a girl. Somebody is expecting me to be a mother.
Already.
And maybe be a mother to my siblings. And I'm a child. You've seen those families where children ndo ni kama breadwinners,
especially firstborns.
That can be a conflict. And it is because of the roles, the roles that huyu mtu anafaa kuplay. So sometimes it is because of things that even we face. For example, uliguza mambo ya relationship, and I would like to bring this across. In relationships, of course, we find different dynamics. So you find ule firstborn jameni, si amezoea ku mother everybody. So trying to become a mother now to this person. To the partner. And then the partner is wondering, why are you being a mother? I want you to become a girlfriend. You know. So for some people it may work, for others it may not. And that itself is a conflict.
To me, understand that there's the conflict is usually mostly person to person. Women online. Maybe there's this post. There's a mother that once commented on a very famous guy, like a comment. So the person was talking about in the person's show, the celebrity, alikuwa ame highlight somebody's story. So kwa comment section, somebody akakuja akasema, na mazemi ukisikia story yangu. So people are going attacking this person, saying, kwani tuna compete shida? Like people there was such a huge online attack, and for me it was funny because the person alikuwa na like on the video the person alikuwa anasema mbona watu wananiattack hivi na wajui hata story yangu. So how do you handle that online conflict? Because online right now there's a whole generation on social media. Technology is not going down anytime soon. So how do we handle that online confrontation that is going on?
Where, first of all, the times that we are living, I don't know how or where people have lost their kindness, their empathy. So you find every other time people are negative. Like before mtu aone Ron when him handsome, ataona vile we uko smart, venye hizo ndevu hazifai kuwa hapo, you know. Like people will always try to find out the negative thing before the positive thing. And sometimes even, I'm not sure if it is an African thing, it is rare we appreciate something before we depreciate it.
It's in us.
Hata ndo tunalearn ku appreciate people and things more often. So I just feel somebody should pick their battles. Yeah. Sometimes mtu tu ameamka na stress zake huko, alichapwa na bwanake, sijui alifanyiwa nini, alichelewa, anaamka tu na hizo stress, anaanza kuona sasa una yeye anasema nini.
Because everything now to the person looks negative.
Yeah. So pick your battles. If it is not worth your energy and time, leave it. In fact, sometimes when you just be silent on things, your conflict inaishanga yenyewe. But if you are there trying to fight every battle, huyu aliniambia hivi nitaenda kumtafuta, huyu na yeye alisema hivi, nenda kumexplainia. Hata ukienda kumexplainia, even escalating the conflict. And you know, sometimes people don't know how to solve a conflict. So that person will always be like, I want you to see my point of view. My point of view, not yours, my point of view. Nisikize mimi.
And you know, online has that behavior. You know, if it's not face to face, it's going to be
kuna ile confidence mtu tu ako nayo. And it's so negative and so bad. So for now, guys, there's still so much to talk about. But first of all, let us take a short commercial break. Don't touch the dial. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. This is the Youth Nation Show, and this evening tukona a lot that we are talking about. Tunaongelelea a lot about conflict resolution, because conflict resolution is one of the major issues that we really need to handle as youth. Sindio? And today, kama kawaida, kama mnaona, we are in a very serene environment. Today tuko in a place inaitwa PrayerCave Gardens. PrayerCave Gardens utaipata hapa Kiambu, just behind Ola petrol station, close to a church inaitwa Word of Faith Church in Kiambu. So just in case unataka such a serene environment, you can just come, have a good time and enjoy this environment. And tumeongelelea a little bit about the online conflict, people hiding behind their screens. And nataka tuguzie a little bit about the family conflict, handling family issues. Because unapata maybe kids have grown old, wanataka inheritance yao. Vijana wameona mzazi watu watafute pesa yao bana na economy.
Mtu ameona mzazi, mtu anasema mimi sisomi, babangu ako na pesa. And maybe the dad doesn't like the behavior, there's that kuvutana. Maybe there's this issue between the mother and daughter. I just realized juzi kuna mother-daughter conflict. I didn't know inakuanga. And how can parents and maybe siblings within themselves, how can they handle conflict, solving it? Maybe hawataki kupeleka story nje, haitaki kwenye kesi yenye inajulikana, they want to solve it within themselves. How can they handle it?
You know, first of all, family conflicts. Hapa hata ndo kuna zile beef mbaya. Wacha hata na za kazi. Family pale watu wako na mabifu, ukisikia story watu hawajaiongea for 20 years plus. Na wako kwa hau moja, wamegrowia hau moja. And you know, I think there's some familiarity that comes in being a family member. Somebody said familiarity brings contempt. Like every other time you're seeing this person, you're like, hata ni sister yangu, hata ni brother yangu, you know, and you forget this person is a human being, this person is somebody with values, with boundaries, and you tend to cross boundaries just because you're a sister, you're a brother, you're a mother, you're a father, you know. So I think the most important thing in family conflicts, which we have acknowledged they do exist, lazima existing zikiwa mbaya kabisa, is to say those conflicts, talk about them. Mwacheni kukaa kama watu, waache kukaa kama hakuna beef hapa. You just cook, mwingine anaenda anajisavia, uwe mwingine anaenda anajoshia couplet kake. You know, like ni silent treatment chini ya maji. You know, some people even tend to use sarcasm. You know sarcasm. Mtu tu anasema na nimefurahia vile umekuja. Sasa hiyo hakuna kitu imemfurahisha about wewe kuja na mliko sana asubuhi.
Anasema nikirudi nipate mmepika mtoto.
You know, first of all, our African moms, the way they are so sarcastic. Lala mchana yote. Baba yako si yako kwa pesa. Amechora hapo kwa pesa, you know. Such sarcasm. But you realize sarcasm is, it's like a downplay for a conflict existing. Ni watu wanataka kuface conflict, but chini ya maji hataki exist. Hataki watu wapigane. So anatumia sarcasm to let that person know by the way umenikosea, but chini ya maji yako like sitaki tupigane, you know, because there are different personalities in regards to how they react to conflict. Now for a family, you must realize that the relationship is more important than that conflict. Than you being right, Ron. Saa zingine ati uko hapo na sister yako mna conflict, wewe unataka kuwa right. Ukijaribu kukua right, you guys are going to lose that relationship. And your sister from birth amtaiongeleshana until mkufe.
But unajua mentally kuna mtu anaona uni sister yangu hata nini ifanyike wewe atuachani. So
but why should you have a sister mwenye muongeleshani and outside there you have a friend mwenye unafeel huyo ndo brother yako? Usiongee tu atu unataka emotions zako zitoke, because I also have my emotions. Na ukitaka kunyonyesha you when you are angry you can do more things. I can even do better things. So that house is going to be chaotic. But then at the end of the day we need our relationship moving. We need to act and be the family that we are. We need to walk the talk of love. Hata by the Bible inasema if it depends on you, make peace with everyone. If it depends, of course it depends on you. It depends, and ndio maana tunasema don't make it about yourself, because if you always make it about yourself, amta solve your kitu, because there's a way you want to be handled, there's a way you want to be talked to, there's a way you want somebody to address you, there's a way you want this and this and that. So don't make it about you. And then, so we have said talking about it, acknowledging them, and then finding effective way to solve these conflicts. And at the back of your mind, you're having this thought that the relationship is important than me being right. Because ukisema ukue right, utakuwa right all through.
For sure. So handling conflict in family, can we use the same strategies to handle it kama maybe tuko shule? Because we have quite a number of people watching that maybe wako uni, some are in high school, wengine maybe they are in their workplace. How can you handle that conflict? Maybe in workplace kuna awasi wanajikokun, maybe they are against you, ama you can be the person who is going against them, probability. How can you handle that workplace conflict or the school place conflict?
Okay, so it depends. For example, maybe you're a leader, and people are against you. That is what I've heard you say. And sometimes maybe ni students wenyewe wako na hiyo conflict. So sometimes it's good not to be the superhead, like when you're all-knowing, all-sufficient, all everything. Whatever you've said is good and perfect for everyone else. People are different. Whatever may be good for you, it's not good for me. So it's good to always take feedback. Sikiza hata watu. Let you know what is better for these people according to themselves. So sometimes it's good to reach out to people. Okay, nimekuwa nikiona here and here you are complaining, guys. What do you think is not going on well? And you as the leader, you should of course sit down and analyze what they are talking about. And then you implement something that will work for both of them. Because sometimes when you choose to go the authoritarian way, those people will rebel proper. Okay, we are not supposed to do this. But what do you think? Are you ready to do this and this? Any anaacha place ya huyo mtoto ku reason, afikirie, is this good for me? Is stealing good for me? Okay, amemwambia Bible imesema do not steal. But let that person sit and decide for herself. And then follow the rules. And actually
that place ya kupea somebody that gap ya ku self-realization, it's so important.
And not letting, like, dictating this person should go this way, that way, because this person will be like, you know, the forbidden fruit thing. Nispitia kwani nikipitia hapa nitafanyika, wacha nione. So let that person decide for themselves. So even in schools, in our schools, because there are many conflicts existing. Let us not like be the top standard of everything. We are making the rules, we expect them to be followed. Give people a place and a space to decide for themselves. Is this what I want to do? What are the consequences if I do not follow it? What hata hizo consequences zimpate ndo ajue these rules and regulations, they are good for me, zina work for my good. And then it's also good when people just sit down and make the rules themselves. For example, students, I feel like when students wakikaa chini Of course, but we do not give them the whole power to make everything because students wakiulizwa will not go to classes. Nini.
Tunataka wapewe A's bila kuingia
Yeah, bila kusoma. Yeah. But let them make sensible rules. That is why we have now the leader to guide them through. Yeah. But let them collaborate. Wote wa come up na njia ita work for them. Yeah.
So, do you think there's a place penye tunaweza sema somebody can learn from a conflict?
Yeah.
Is there a place that you can learn from a conflict? I think that place ya kuallow mistakes happening inapea that person the ability ya kulearn what they can do better. To assume mtoi akianza kutembea anaanza na kucrawl, tema anajaribu kutembea na anguka. Tukianza kuchapa huyo mtoto ati mbona unaanguka, that kid will crawl forever. I think there's a place ya learning from mistakes and stuff in this place of conflict. Like, what are the benefits? What are things that we can learn out of the conflicts?
Yeah, as you're saying, it is very important to find challenges as opportunities to learn. And conflicts are challenges. And so you can check yourself. Maybe initially I reacted on impulse. When we talked, ulinibo, mimi tu nikakukasirikia, I walked out on you. But if we have a similar case where there is a conflict and then my behavior, okay, nikajiangalia nikasema by the way hapo nilifanya ufala, si ningekaa tu nimsikize. Sasa nimelose hata job yangu. Unaona, just because of walking out on my boss. So it is important to those episodes are important to evaluate even your progress. Maybe it is your temperament. Unasikiaga tu mimi mtu akinikasirisha mimi hata I can't even look at you a second time. So when you start growing yourself and developing yourself, you start saying I'll do this and this, I'll do better. So how can we evaluate you are going to do better? Of course, by them happening another time. And then people are different. The way you are is not the way I am, is not the way a person is. So niki handle conflict na wewe, it does not mean the same method that worked between us is going to work for this other person and for this other person. So, and because God created us differently, beautifully differently, it's good for us to have it's a good thing if we look at it in the other way. It's good for us to have such opportunities to learn, to handle people, to even grow ourselves. So at the end of the day, we have a teachable spirit. Hata Bible inasema tuwe na teachable spirit bana.
Kuna place ume mention that conflict, it might happen again. And there's one thing for sure, conflict it'll happen again. How do you build the resilience of handling? Let's assume you're in a place of work, ama uko shule, and kuna kuanga tu na ututu mvutano. How do you build that resilience ya kukua able to handle conflict yenye maybe itakuwa repeated? Maybe you're in a place of work, kuna tu somebody, maybe ni HR na kusumbua. Na wezi anza kucomplain ati HR achujwe. Uko hapo kuchapa job waze. How do you handle that continuous, maybe it's a continuous conflict. Maybe unachelewanga job and kama kawaida HR atakutafuta hapo online akwambia wewe kuja kwa ofisi. Always. How do you build that resilience ya kusema that you will handle conflict even more?
Building resilience, of course, is building sustainable measures to solving that problem. And as we've been talking, some of this is active listening. So being an active listener, practice that. And how do you even do that? Of course, giving your attention to that other person. Not only for the verbal communication, but even for the non-verbal communication. Vile mtu amejicompose, the way ana convey information. And then don't judge. As you're talking, don't bring your judgments, by the way.
Don't judge.
And prejudices, of course, they are going to make the conflict even escalate more. And then always give up a feedback. Sometimes it's good also to summarize what a person has said. So, for example, we are talking here, we are solving a dispute. You will be like, okay, so you are saying this and this and this and that. You paraphrase what I'm saying. It helps you even to understand better what is the conflict all about. Because most of the times people have been like, okay, sawa pole. Uko sawa. Nata jailo amesemia nini pole. You know. So be an active listener. And then have problem solving skills. Yeah, sio kila wakati unakaa shida imekupata, conflict, and then 10 years down the line the same problem has happened, you're still there. Yeah? Develop some problem solving skills. Identify where is the problem. Yeah? When we are talking about listening, there is the part of conveying information and there is the part of receiving. Sometimes whatever we say is not whatever is received.
Somebody hears different like, than what you meant. With the words.
And I interpret differently. And you know we are different. There's no way I'm going to dictate how you're going to interpret the information that I give you.
Especially with the text message. Unajua unaweza tuma message and then kuna venye maybe you think ana sound. Maybe it sounds kama mmekosana ina sound maybe anataka it sounds rude.
And that person was just coming from a good place. And even sometimes when we are maybe corrected to do something, you find that person interprets that statement a whole different thing. So when you rephrase when you paraphrase what I'm saying, it helps you even understand what I'm saying and interpret it in the way I meant it for you to interpret it. Is that okay?
Communication skills.
Clarify something, that is the word.
You give the clarity for what the words are. Communication skills seems like, communication seems like to be the major part solution for this thing.
Yes.
And if you combine maybe the communication with the emotions, maybe it's even better on that understanding that other person will get. Just a little bit explain how valuable communication skills is for somebody kukua nayo. Because unapata conflict haichaguangi ni nani itaendea. Because itasema ati msi kuna communication skills fiti, wacha tuende huyo. Like for a person mwenye hana that communication skill, how can you develop the communication skills and how important is it for you to have the skills?
Communication skills is one of the best thing you can gift yourselves. Hatukuzaliwa tukijua kuongea, si ndio? And of course we communicate depending on how we learn. There is a way you can look at me, uone ukitumia kizungu mingi utanipoteza. Si ndio? So it depends even on the audience, the people you are talking to. Don't use for me kizungu ya PLO Lumumba, ushanipoteza and you're just trying to say sorry. Suseme tu atapole na Kikuyu nielewe.
Apologizing for this.
So communication, it's conveying a certain information. And as you convey it, you make sure that other person has understood you. And how will you make sure that happens? It's because you have looked at that person. Umesoma mtu kuona, huyu mtu education yake iko hivi, huyu mtu gender yake ni hii na hii. You know, huyu mtu maybe background yake ni...
Gender also matters.
Gender also matters. Kuna vile utaongelesha brother pale, ukikuja uniongelesha itakuwa offensive. And then also the culture. There is a language you cannot use with Muslims. There is a language you cannot use with Christians. There is a language you cannot use with this culture, ya Wakikuyu, nini, and everything else. So you make sure before you convey a certain information, you've checked around these factors. And of course, because we are always relating, wewe sio bubu. Ongea vile nitaelewa na nitakusikia. If you need to be audible enough, be audible enough. And then something about communication. We were taught about those three fundamental things: sorry, welcome, and thank you. When we were young. And I cannot overemphasize the importance of saying sorry. You know, people don't say sorry if it's one thing you've noted. Kwanza men, sometimes men usually say ati mimi niseme pole. Kwani mimi dem? Kwani mimi
apologize.
Ukiona nimekupeleka tu kule mahali, wewe jua tu nimekusamehea na tumesameheana kila kitu. No. There is importance in saying sorry.
The words
mean a lot. Na si tu utasema sorry ukwe punda. Mimi sijaona mtu amekuwa punda by the way. Ama mbwa anabweka. Like man, if you say sorry, utabaki kuwa wrong. And when you are saying sorry, be specific of what you are or of what you are apologizing about. Don't say sawa pole na tunaendelea na maisha. No, I'm sorry for this and this and that.
Yeah.
Let it be specific. And then let it be deep. Wacha kuguza tu surface hivi ndo unasema, okay, by then niko pole because of this and that. Alafu uguzi ndani those ndani, you're not hitting. And that is what made even this person feel hurt.
The detail is the issue, actually.
Yeah, be detailed. Alafu, usieke story mingi. Don't give excuses. Ati I was late because the jam. So is it my problem that the jam came? No, ungeamka mapema ungefanya hivi na hivi. You know, giving excuses makes you sort of look like you're not sorry. You're even transferring the blame. You're not taking the blame. You're transferring the blame to something else. You're attributing that thing happened because of this and this and that. So whenever you're sorry, be like, okay, I'm sorry I got late. Being late has cost us not to do this show on time. I'm sure that will affect your schedule. You see, I'm going deep. Next time, usiende kusema ati because of jam nini ati nilichelewa kuamka. How is that even my fault? Remove excuses and then be straight to the point. Make it short and simple. Sawa. Usiongee sana after we make your apology. You know, even the Bible says where there are many words people sin. So unaweza anza ku make apology, make a paragraph, upate hata umeleta ma stories zingine.
There's this place about this personal, this communication skill. There's also a place for saying please. Please, kuna milango inaweza fungua mazee. Just saying please. And also having that communication skill. Kuna wase maybe salary yake haiko fiti. And if you know how to communicate, that negotiation, maybe uko na issue ina happen in life. You have an issue maybe with rent, the bills are becoming too much. Kama hauna that personal communication skill to negotiate what you want, maybe how to achieve Kenya, what you want. You have issues and you're not talking because you don't have communication skills. I think communication skills is so important. But lastly, because time naona venye inakimbia, I want us to talk a little bit about how to improve just beside the communication. How can you improve the conflict resolutions? Maybe just within yourselves and peer to peer, person to person. How can you improve it?
Okay, so we have given over what we've been talking about. We've given the necessary techniques we can use. It's not a must to solve that conflict today. Because sometimes solving the conflict now, it can escalate things. Through our emotions. But you can accommodate someone. You can compromise. You can avoid. Whatever works best for you, depending with you. But at the end of the day, remember, you have to get things done. You have to relate with people.
Definitely.
So hata hii conflict ikitokea na zitaishi kutokea. It's not that after all is said and done, and as long as we are living in this body, we are not going to kusana with people. And then clearly state your boundaries. It won't hurt anyone. In fact, it will hurt you when you don't say it. So we kama unapenda ukikaa hivi vitu zako zisishikwe, just say. So that other person
the boundary placing.
Let a person be clear on boundaries zake. If it is even in the workplace or it is even in the friendship, state the boundaries of your friendship. Mimi tutakuwa tunapatana tunaongea hii na hii na hii. Certain things, no, I don't want to talk about them. The way you convey yourself is how we are going to handle you. So for instance, no matter kwa job, unapeangwa job description. Unaambiwa, your work starts from here, this and this role and this role, and then you're going to finish it at this point. So sometimes when you do not have those boundaries well stated, what overstep? And when they overstep, what do? You avoid. Maybe sometimes you compromise to a level yenye wewe inakusumbua. It affects your performance. You know, okay, sorry, I had not mentioned this. There are 3 types of personality in regards to conflict. One, there is the person who will be aggressive. Huyo mtu tu atakwambia out and direct, straight, honest. Unaona wale tu wanakuanga na ile honest na kumaliza au watu. And then there is the people who will be passive. Okay, sawa tu, ndivyo umeamua, sawa. Like that person will not tell you what I am expecting, but anajua umemhurt. And then there is the person who is in between. Yeah, those people now who are aggressive and passive at the same time. Yeah, those are the people who are going to use sarcasm. So you just identify yourself where you are. And then do better. If being passive is affecting you, suseme, ongea, use other measures. You can even call a third party. Ambia huyu mtu, this person has affected me in this and this and this. So huyu mtu na yeye akujia wasaidie kusolve conflict.
But the passive one ataki ku-escalate.
Atakuwa tu calm, atajiekea tu. Yet hiyo kitu inamuumiza.
For each kuna venye each personality can regulate their own the way they resolve their conflict.
And that is why we are having this information. We know and then we do better. We react better. And even we help ourselves behave in a better way.
Kuna a place penye self-esteem huanga ina affect conflict resolution. Maybe, especially penye mention boundaries, imeleta a light bulb. Kuna wase maybe they are not good in knowing who they are, ama expressing themselves. Like the issue of self-esteem. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, self-esteem highly, capital letters, highly
besides
affects
communication skills.
It is very important to know who you are. To know where you're coming from and where you're going. Those things will help you even when you have a conflict. You'll know, okay, this something is causing me to feel conflicted because of this and this and that. Lakini kama ujijui where every time uko like, but why am I mi ndio mbaya, mi ndio sifai ku react this way, and it's because maybe you have past traumas that you've not dealt with. You don't know yourself. You have not stated the boundaries that you want to be followed. You don't know the values that you have. So every other time utakuwa like unabebwa na upepo. Wakisema tuenda hivi, unaenda hivi. When you're there, you start realizing, I didn't want to come here. And if you knew yourself, if you knew where you're going, hungebebwa na hii upepo. And for people with actually low self-esteem, these are people who will be very passive in conflicts. Umesema tufanye hivi, sawa basi tufanye hivi. Hata kuambia, alafu unaona tu ule mtu ame back down. Kuna sometimes tu hayuko active tena, kazi haifanyiki. Like mtu bana atakubo.
But it's their nature.
No, it's not their nature because they have not worked on their esteem. If they work on their esteem, they are going to do well. They are going to tell you, even for a very quiet person, it does not mean that like they are going to come and not talk to you. They are going to talk to you, but in a different way. Mtu mwenye ako ametulia na mtu mwenye ataongea wataku approach, but in different ways. But at the end of the day, this person will say, I expect this. I expect this.
I think kuna place wenye itabidi tumefanya a topic about past trauma into people's future, like growing with some trauma, then coming into, cause sasa I think it's a point penye we need to be enlightened about such information. So much to talk about, but any last words that you have to any person maybe dealing with conflict currently, could be family, could be friends, wamekosana. Any last words that you have?
Conflict, hiyo itapata kila mtu. Hiyo ni bottom line. Whether it is you the president, you the deputy president, you here, you there, itatupata sisi wote. But now what I'm going to do after that is what determines who I am. And it's even going to guide my way forward. If right now I came here and we had a conflict na nianza kuwatusi na tuko wapi, would you guys call me again? Of course you wouldn't. If I came here and caused chaos and all that. So it doesn't matter what comes. What matters is what goes outside. Whatever is within you. Because out of the abundance of the heart, your mouth will speak. And then live peacefully with everyone. There are people who are fighting demons and battles in this world, and when you just trigger them a little bit, bana huyo mtu anakutolea sijui vitu gani. So pick your battles. Is it worth my time? Is it worth my energy? My energy sahi, energy yangu ni kidogo. Energy yangu sahi ni ya finance bill bwana. Sio ya kupigana na wewe. So pick your battles and then live peacefully with everyone.
People, Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you. The conflict resolution, the topic by itself, ukiangalia the wars that are happening around the world. I think the point of conflict resolution, maybe people have not known how to handle conflict. And the earlier we know how to handle this, the earlier, the better. So thank you so much, Essie, for joining us today. I think we'll have you for another topic, because as the psychology, we have so much to talk about it.
Thank you.
And guys, kama kawaida, kama kawa, kama dawa, leo mnaona venye tumesababisha, we are in such a serene environment. This is the Prayer Cave Garden. Tumesema, if you want to have a wedding, any outdoor event, this is your place. Prayer Cave Garden iko Kiambu, just behind Ola petrol station, close to a church inaitwa Word of Faith Church. Ukifika huku, ulizia Prayer Cave Garden. They have very affordable rates, maze. You'll just love it. That's why we are here, and you'll enjoy this serene environment. That is it for this show today. This is the Youth Nation show. Stay tuned to your only TV station. This is the Prayer Cave TV. Peace.